there, I'm Eric Wordweaver Sjerven, Gothi of the Ridgar folk here in East Texas. I'd like to welcome you to the Raven's Call. This is a show where I ramble on about different heathen-related subjects, just whatever strikes my fancy at the time. So, today we're going to talk about the subject of idol worship, the truth about it, okay? Now, there is a misunderstanding as far as idol worship goes. A large amount of Western culture has been kind of programmed against idol worship, worshippers of idols, because they're seen as backwoods, backwater, uneducated, unelevated individuals that, believe some statue is their god or goddess, and that this is the sum totality of their worship, and they see them as idiots as a result. I get it. The counterpoint is that they don't get it. They don't understand what idol worship actually is. And I know this is something that doesn't get talked about a lot within heathenry, so I'm not sure if this is even something that people are interested in, but it's something that strikes my fancy, and so I wanted to talk about it a little on here. Heathenry does utilize a certain element of idol worship. As everybody knows, you've got your altars, you've got your spaces that you work with, and it's not at all uncommon to utilize some kind of totem or idol to represent the gods and goddesses, the Vates, the ancestors, whatever it may be. Lore is rife with examples of god poles, of statues that are used. There's even one saga, and I'm blanking on which one it is off the top of my head. I want to say it came from the Heimskringla, but I'm going to have to go back and fact check myself. Wherein they wheel out one of the god statues that's taken around and paraded and whatnot, and the Christians come in and challenge this god for its, not protecting the people, and they have the one true God, and so they strike it down and destroy it, and it's filled with mice and whatnot, which were eating the offerings that were laid out. And they take this as some kind of proof that their God is false, etc., etc., and so the one true God then takes over, and the usurper sits the throne, kind of thing. Anyway, so that's the that's how people misunderstand idol worship. They think that idol worshippers believe that the idol itself is the god, and that's why the term idol worship itself is actually a misnomer for what is going on here. Okay, idols are used, totems are used, and people run away from the term idol worship because it's like. All of that they're programmed with, that's bad, that's idiotic, why would anybody do that? Why would they actually worship an idol? And it's like, no, idols are used in the process of worship, and here's why, okay? Now I'm going to try and keep this video a little bit shorter. Watch the state of the channel address if you want to know why I'm doing that with this particular one, but here's the reason that I find idol worship, how idol worship works, and why people misunderstand, okay? Now, all an idol is a focal point for the energies within a ritual, okay? It is an agreed upon point between you and the unseen that this is the meeting point. This is where we interact. When I need to interact with you, this is what I'm going to do. We do it with each other all the time in regular communications. We agree upon certain methods of communication. If we know that the method of communication between us is going to be the telephone, then we're going to exchange telephone numbers. If we agree that it's going to be online, then we will exchange online information. That allows us to communicate in that spot. And I know if I want to communicate with this individual, all I need to do is pick up my phone, which is the point we'll go to. It's my work phone. Don't think I use some kind of, I hate this phone. Anyway, I'll go to my phone and I'll input the information I need to send the message to him, and then he will go to his phone and he'll look at the information and we will communicate that way. The gist in all of this is that it's an agreed upon point that we go to meet. He doesn't expect to see contact information from me to him through Yahoo if we've never exchanged Yahoo information. So that's not where he would go expecting to see content from me. We have an arrangement. This is how it works. That's the way an idol works. Now, just to kind of give an element of how this works, I want to introduce you guys to somebody, all right? I'm going to share a bit about myself, all right? A lot of you are familiar with house whites, husvetir, landvetir, things like that. And so I want to introduce you guys to my office white. Okay, this is a guy who, the spirit of my office and the place that I work, he's tied to the land, he's tied to the area, and he looks over the place, and he's really, really ancient, very strong, and an incredible individual who looks over, for those of you that don't know, I work in a boys' home. We take care of CPS kids, things like that. And so he's very caring and looks out for the kids. He looks out for the individuals that work here. So he's a very strong presence on the facility, very, very fatherly kind of presence. And so this is the idol that I utilize to represent this kind of land god, the what I call my office white. This is Rumblethump. His name is, of course, a sound as opposed to a moniker of sorts. The reason being is because that's just what he and I agreed upon as far as what I would call him to be able to identify him. Now, this gentleman right here could very well merit a much more grandiose name, but that's just what we agreed upon. That's what works. Now, yes, I know this is a garden gnome. You know what? That's fine, because the garden gnome itself is based on the imagery tied to the gnomes, which are of Scandinavian origin, and there's tons of folklore literature about the wee folk, the hidden folk, over there that you can pull up and look. Gnomes and dwarves specifically come from the northern Scandinavian mythos, so check those out. But this is Rumblethump, and yes, I do use the little gnome for him. It fits the essence of his spirit and the feel of everything here. The little watcher who is constantly helping in unseen ways and looking out for it. Now, I am under no misconception that this is Rumblethump himself. Rumblethump is the spirit that inhabits this place. Rumblethump is everywhere. He looks over the facility. He looks over my office. He looks over all of the kids here. And this right here is simply the idol, the totem, the focal point that I use to communicate with him. When I need to contact him and in a formalized way, I go to this because this is the phone number. This is where we meet. And it's here on my altar in my office. As I put him back where he goes. This is, he's got his own little space here. You guys can't see it, but I've got a little house for him and things like that. Signs of respect to create a homey kind of atmosphere wherein a piece of his spirit can reside comfortably to speak with me and interact with me. Now, like I said, it's a focal point, okay? The same thing occurs with the gods and goddesses. Let me get another prop here. This was a gift to me from my friend Don. Very awesome. A little Heathen figure. And so this serves as a totem as well. When an individual wants to interact with the gods and goddesses, you try to create a beacon in the profane world that can be seen from the sacred world that will get their focal attention on you. And you do this by pouring all of your effort and all of your focus into a totem or an idol that serves as the gateway. The same thing can occur with the altar itself, the bloat bowl, the ritualized items that we pour energy into through doing the work. They seep up these energies like a battery, and they become permeated with these energies. And then these energies serve as the beacon to the individual on the other side, the entity out there that we seek to have some kind of communication with. So in an essence like this, this totem here could be a beacon in my attempts to try and communicate with Odin, as long as I'm following ritual protocol and imbuing it with said elements, said energies. So again, totem, idol. In the olden days, the Christians would have mistaken us for worshiping a small wooden statue. What they don't realize is the small wooden statue is simply an embodiment, a focal point wherein I can contact a grand God of immense power that is far beyond the simple comprehension of mankind. The scope of the gods is so immense, so great, and so beyond us. They created worlds. They created worlds, and people want to think that we're worshiping little wooden blocks. No, I'm worshiping the great and grandiose gods and goddesses represented by those blocks, by those statues, by those God posts. You know, if I have a deer antler on my altar, it is not because I am worshiping the deer. It's because I'm using it as a focal point to focus my energies and thinking on Frey, as most would pronounce it. The EY makes the oi sound in Old Norse. But that's what I'm doing. I am focusing my energy on this totem, on this idol, and it is creating a beacon that is then sending the message that is visible to the god and goddess, that's visible to my ancestors, that's visible to the Vatir of the land, and that's what it's about. That's what idol worship is. Idol worship is not actually the worship of idols, it's the use of idols in worship of something else. So, don't let people throw you aside on that. If you guys want to use statuettes on your altars, do it. There is a clear metaphysical reason for it. There's even clear historical reasons for utilizing things like God posts and statues and things like that. The physical manifestation, the physicality of the embodiment of the divine or the otherworldly that allows us that permeable membrane. We'll go back and watch those videos on that. It serves as that permeable membrane between us and them. It is the conduit through which we send the energies that are the gifts and the interactions and the communications we have with them. So, that pretty much sums up that little bit of element to it. I can go on for ages, but again, I wanted to kind of keep this one short today. Idol worship and the truth behind it. This is what it's about, guys. It's just a tool that we use in the worship of the great and wonderful gods and goddesses of the Aesir, the Vanir. So, and of course, the Landvatir, the ancestors, anything that we might utilize an idol in. It's just a tool. You know, it's just like runes are a tool for divination. Seed work as a process for weird interpretation and perception. It's not the only way, it's just a way. So idol worship is the same thing. It's not the only way, it's just a way. And it's a way that I find to be particularly effective as it creates a focal point for ritual purposes. So anyway, that's it for today's episode. You guys, if you liked today's video, hit like in the comment, hit like down below, subscribe, ding the bell so you keep up to date on everything. Give me some feedback in the comments below. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to watch me flail about like a Magikarp and pretend that I actually am effective in a space, because I'm not on Twitter. I'm horrible at Twitter, but I'll do it anyway. So that's at @E_Sjerven, E_Sjerven. I'm trying to play with word overlays now, so if you see them down here below, then I did something right. Yay! So you can email me at esjerven@gmail.com if you've got lengthier questions that or feedback that you want to give me. You can hit me up on Facebook at Word-Weaver Productions. Dig that. It's a great place, great community that we have going on where we try to get feedback from everybody and kind of work together to help build the channel into what it needs to be. Plus, it's a great networking tool for people to find other people in their areas, because I've got viewers all over. I've got viewers overseas, which kind of trips me out. So use that. Use the networking tool. Figure out who's in your area. There's an entire thread that's just a list of where everybody's from. I've got a bunch of people on there, and even more on the channel that aren't using it, that could be using it. Go to Facebook, check it out. Anyway, I also have a Saraha link. You'll find a link for that in the description below if you want to use it. For those that aren't familiar with it, it's an anonymous feedback tool where you can go in and leave feedback without having to give any kind of identifying information. You literally just send me a direct message, and it does not tell me who it came from, where it came from, anything like that. So it's a great way to give anonymous feedback if you're not comfortable, leaving your name, whatnot, or if you just want to be silly and send me strange messages or whatever. That's a great place to do it. I've had a lot of fun with just the silly gags and things that come out of there. It doesn't get used a lot. It's kind of gone out of vogue, but it's there anyway. So hey, if you want to use it, use it. Send me a message. Anything you don't want to put out on the interwebs and you just want to be kind of a secret, straight to me kind of thing, without me being able to track you down, there it is. Okay, so check it out. Anyway, you guys stay tuned and we will keep more coming at you. So hail. Have a good day.